Welcome in. It's Country Roads Confidential at earsports.com. This is a Paramount podcast. I'm Mike Casazza here. Final Thursday of the regular season, Chris Anderson. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Emotional? Last preview podcast.
Oh,
We can't solve the world's problems anymore when it comes to Mountaineer football. This is end of the road for us.
yeah. I think we should have ended on a high note with our Thanksgiving breakout at the end of the last podcast. Probably should have just redone that one. That was a good high note.
A lot of feedback on that. Not from my in-laws though. That's good. The potato salad was like that was a typo, right? And I was like, well, one, it was a podcast, so it wasn't a typo. That was an actual text I had. But no, potato salad does pop up every now and then on my Thanksgiving feast. Hopefully not this year. The one thing that actually generated attention, I was surprised, was our over-under projections on the crowd. Kind of expecting a big crowd this weekend.
You are, or the people who gave feedback?
Not the ticket office and not marketing people, but people I heard from who are program or athletics adjacent. Let's say they think there's going to be a big crowd here, and gosh, and you have 40 seniors on your team. It's a lot of family. That'll bump out.
Hmm.
That'll be like one of those COVID crowds alone, where just the friends and family can come to the games. But um, I just think about what a weird week this is. I wrote about this in my week, geez, open week questions that need week 14 answers. I can't even do these anymore. What a week this is for the head coach. Like head coaches love Thanksgiving week. They always joke about it's their favorite time of year. They're usually playing for something. If you're playing like high school football, when you're a player or a coach back then, you want to be in the playoffs. If you're at the top of your profession, near the top, you're playing for something more often than not. Bowl bid, higher trajectory in a bowl, maybe a college football playoff spot or a Big 12 championship game spot, something along those lines. You're trying to get into a bowl. You're trying to get 8 wins, 9 wins. You're trying to send your seniors out in a high note. The whole thing this season is just kind of pear shaped, Chris, because you have seniors who just haven't been here. Like the seniors that Rodriguez knows most. He spent time with at Jacksonville State. There's very few seniors who've been here for multiple years. They're going nowhere. The season's been over for 10 days. The students are on break. You might have a thin crowd. You're going to have chilly temperatures. And then just on the radio Monday, Rodriguez said that he had some of those conversations with players about, hey, you probably should transfer, which I understand is inevitable. But that's a tough part of this week. And ugh, I wonder what the mood is at that presumably they have a team Thanksgiving dinner, but like I wonder what it's like being around that building this week and how you get up for a game here that you were widely expected to lose and lose by a big margin.
Yeah. So it
How
sounded weird. Hey,
much of a downer is that?
yeah. Hey, you should probably transfer. But before you do, come out here and get stomped by a top 10 team real quick
Mhm.
in front of your friends and family. Could you do that real quick for me? No? Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I was leaning under on the attendance as well for all the reasons you kind of broke out there, and I found it interesting, like because for weeks, the staff also like circled this game of all games to be like a decent sized recruiting weekend. And Rich Rodriguez talked about that on his radio show on Monday night too, expecting, handful of official visitors and some other guys in town. And when guys were first saying like a month ago, like, yeah, I think I'm going to come in for my official visit the weekend of the Texas Tech game, I remember being like,
Mhm.
really? Because this was right in the midst of like West Virginia losing three straight games by 30 points or whatever, what like the UCF stretch there. And I was like, man, if they're losing to UCF by 30, they're going to have recruits in there to watch them lose to Texas Tech by 50? Why would you do that right before signing day? But there's some confidence in team's ability. There's some confidence in the environment. They're not doing this. The coaching staff's not inviting guys up there to see a team lose by 50 in front of 31,000 people, a half empty
Yeah.
stadium. Like they're doing so with the thought that they will be competitive and that there will be people there. So we'll see what happens on Saturday because again, they're trying to finish strong with this recruiting class, and they're going to try to do it in front of a crowd at Texas Tech or against Texas Tech.
So the one thing that West Virginia can hope for is this grand rivalry against Texas Tech.
Hmm.
Perhaps they can play spoiler. You can maybe keep the team out of the CFP, maybe out of the Big 12 championship game. The funny part about it is, Chris, though, this all may be decided by the time they even take the field for a noon game Friday. If this is like an 8 p.m. game, Saturday. If this is an 8 p.m. game Saturday, okay, some things may have happened and maybe Texas Tech takes the field knowing this is noon on Saturday and the Big 12 title game may be locked up. If
Yeah.
Arizona State loses to Arizona, um, BYU and Texas are probably in. Like that's crazy to me. Like you have I'm trying to see here. The Friday games are Utah and Kansas. So Utah can eliminate itself with a loss to Kansas and Arizona State, Arizona. Arizona State can lose to Arizona and get eliminated. That pushes BYU and Utah into the final. So by the time that everyone goes to bed Friday night, wins by Kansas and Arizona State, locks up BYU Texas Tech in the Big 12 title game. And I don't know, I just kind of think if Texas Tech beats West Virginia and gets in the Big 12 title game, they're probably in the CFP.
Heck, I think they're in if they lose. I think the only way they get out of the conference or the college football play is if they lose to West Virginia and
And
still make the championship game and lose again.
okay, bold. My point being, this is kind of watered down for. I mean, it
Yeah.
really, really could be watered down. That would be a nightmare scenario for the Big 12. I know they put these schedules way in advance, but if Arizona State loses, if Utah loses, they're out, and we'll see what happens. Like I think Utah's on a roll and are playing for their coach, who, man, he's making it seem like this might be, if not the end of the road, then pretty close to the end of the road for him. So this could be a tough out for Kansas. I understand. I've been looking at what Arizona's been doing. 4 wins in a row, haven't beaten the best of the Big 12, playing well, 8-3, and are favored, I believe, at home against or
Yeah.
on the road against Arizona State. Phew, like, where did this come from? So who knows? This may be a crazy thing, but hey, we're not here to talk about the other Big 12 games. And I would just say, get used to this. We're not even here to talk about West Virginia. This is going to be like a 3.5 hour commercial for Texas Tech in large regard. And I hope you like Jacob Rodriguez because I would get ready for a lot of that.
Yeah, we'll be talking about him. Be talking about a lot of guys. Do we want to start defense or do you want to start offense?
Let's just start on defense because I think people should probably get prepared for the taste of the Heisman Trophy being shoved down their throat here because this is on ESPN, correct?
Yes.
Fox did it last week. It was cool. It was well received. And if you have this game that absent a lot of different motivations, you can narrow it down to one thing, which is a defensive player getting a Heisman Trophy invitation or consideration in the Big 12 from Texas Tech. That's a school that has never been known for defense. What a story this would be. And I just wonder if they're really forcing this. And I really wonder if you'll see Jacob Rodriguez playing quarterback, catching a pass, doing something to really give him that Heisman with there at the end of the season. Because, by the way, he's one of the better defensive players in the country. Is he on your card? Not your ballot, Chris. Are you paying attention to this as some sort of a referendum as a Heisman Trophy voter, which I don't know if a lot of people know you are, Chris?
I am. I am paying attention to him. You have to. I mean, he is. There's a lot of guys that can just rack up tackles. I think when you think Heisman again, obviously you're thinking quarterback because they affect the game in so many ways. On defense, you're like, yeah, this guy got 100 tackles. Cool. He got 100 tackles. Rodriguez is more than that. He's going to surpass 100 tackles in this game. I think I got him at 97 right now. He's got 4 interceptions, 7 forced fumbles by himself, like himself. Just like that's more than a lot of teams have so far this season. He's recovered a fumble. He's scored a touchdown on a fumble. He just seems to be involved in everything that they do on that side of the ball. And again, like people well, because of years and years and years of them being terrible on defense, they don't really think of Texas Tech defense, and they're one of the best in the country, and he's a big reason why. So, do you have to take him seriously? Yeah, absolutely. I think if you are serious about your Heisman vote, you have to take Rodriguez seriously as a potential guy to get an invitation. I think that's in the media game notes too from Texas Tech. When there a whole section that was like send the stash
Oh, yeah.
to whatever, like send the stash to the ceremony or something like that. Like, all right, they're in on it.
So memory lane here, if you don't mind. The
Sure,
last the last time we probably had this type of conversations, Manti Te'o, right?
sure.
2012. Okay, so here's where we are after the regular season versus where Rodriguez is now. So 1 game left for Rodriguez, regular season in the book for Teo. So these are the numbers that he brought into the Heisman Trophy game. the Heisman Trophy tournament. Presentation. Jeez, Mike. So 11 games to 12. Teo has 103 tackles, three more than Rodriguez. Solo tackles, three more for Rodriguez than Teo. Rodriguez, 9.5 tackles for a loss. Teo, 5.5. Sacks, 1.5 for Teo. One for Rodriguez. Does not blitz very much. Four interceptions for Rodriguez. Seven for Teo. Seven forced fumbles for Rodriguez. Zero for Teo. Both had two fumble recoveries. Because of the interceptions, Teo had 11 passes defended, six for Rodriguez. Again, four of his interceptions. Two touchdowns for Rodriguez, one on offense, none for Teo. And here's where it gets interesting. Notre Dame's a huge brand. Texas Tech is
Yeah.
not. Let's be obvious or honest here. Like Teo got pushed because Notre Dame's Notre Dame. That helps an awful lot. And then
And
they
they
were
were
going
like a title contender, right?
national
Yeah,
championship
yeah.
game against Alabama.
Yeah.
They had in the this is according to the FEI rating, number six defense. Probably not unusual for Notre Dame, right? Always have
Mhm.
talent there. They're good defensive teams usually. Number 10 defensive efficiency. By the same metrics, Texas Tech is 1-1 with better scores, like significantly better scores too. He's in many aspects a better, more impactful player who's giving you the big plays and the moments on a better defense here. And a team that is not known for this. It has a ton of talent on defense. You could really make the case for this too. I just think that he's going to have to do something here to punch it through in the last two games, which means you may see him on offense. You're certainly going to see him ripping the balls. And I wonder if they try to just manufacture something for him where he could be in the end zone getting helmet slaps from his teammates. Just something that makes people say, wow, this is a unique player who started on offense. He's a quarterback recruited, becomes a linebacker, good player now. This is just like an inevitable part of the conversation of the 12th game of the regular season.
Yeah. I was trying to think who else was a defensive player, and when it was going back and looking while you were talking there, some defensive linemen. Actually, Jabril Peppers was more recently. Chase Young was the most recent, I think. That was 2019. Was there anybody since then? I don't know, but
Peppers is a good
Jab
player for sure. He plays
Peppers,
offense too, right?
but yeah, he carried the ball like 30 times, had like a handful of touchdowns, caught a few passes. They threw him over there, and he was kind of that. I think he filled more of that. I mean, I know in the NFL he plays more of a safety role, and I think maybe for Michigan he was filling more of the, um, that star linebacker, that quarter, Fred Perry type safety slash linebacker role. So, um, I don't know. I mean, you have to take him seriously. We talk about just how important havoc is, creating havoc, and it's prevalent in everything that he does. Like he just every single aspect of his game is creating havoc on the other side of the ball. So he's going to be a
From
pain.
Texas.
He's going to be talked about. Just yeah, would you prepare yourself, WB fans? It's going to be shoved down your throat the entire game of Rodriguez and getting an invite to the Heisman ceremony.
From Texas, starts his career in at UVA, where he played a bunch of different spots, and then transfers to Texas Tech after 1 year.
Quarterback, right? Wasn't he? Like they were trying him at quarterback.
What? I don't think he threw a pass or ran anything that year, but he did line him up. He tried some different stuff. They gave him chances, and I mean he's obviously a talent that they knew they had something with too. So, um, I think it's more likely than not after an open week you see him in some regard outside of middle linebacker on this defense. Let's stick with their defense, Chris. Again, this is not a team that has been known for defense forever, ever. It's always been like a punchline with them too. And Ed and I were talking before we got going here. This has probably happened before where teams have gotten influxes of talent and it's taken off, or you've just seen what talent looks like and the difference it can make on a team. And I'm mostly thinking if you're elite programs in, let's say the SEC or even like Ohio State, Big Ten. There's been great NFL talent on Michigan rosters, so on and so forth. This is my first time like being really upfront, confronted with covering, following a Big 12 team that this is what happens when you just throw a bunch of talent into one spot and let it simmer because they've totally renovated their defense from front to back, defensive line especially, but players in the secondary too, from the transfer portal. And I think before you get carried away on this too, their notes list 21 transfers. And you think, wow, they bought all these players. Chris, of the 21, how many do you think were Power Four players?
Were Power Four players before they transferred to Texas Tech.
Correct.
Um, 10.
Cheater.
Is that what it was? Nice.
And again, like some of them are, I don't want to say fringe, but you're talking UCF, but like Lee Hunter was at UCF. He's awesome for their defensive line.
Yeah.
AJ Holmes was at Houston. Again, is it Power Five? Well, technically it is, but he's been great in their defensive line. They've mixed it up too, but a lot of their high impact players on defense are you think are going to be group of four, excuse me, Power Five players, but one of their best defensive linemen, he's been injured now for a couple of games. Skylar Howard, he's from Northern Illinois. We mentioned Howard from UCF. Trying to think of some other guys. A linebacker from Georgia Tech. Really thinking that's a big deal. Starting corner from Mississippi State, sure. Did not go out and like get huge expenses from the best players on the best teams to make it happen here. One of their corners is from UTEP that plays a ton and does like really good stuff too. A linebacker from this level, a defensive end from this level, not exactly the heights of college football. Of course, they make huge splashes too. David Bailey from Stanford is maybe one of the highest impact transfers in the country, leads the country in sacks. So they got a little bit of that too, but they had mixed it up. And again, half of them are power four players, about half of them are group of five players, and they've all made an impact here too. But starts up front, goes to the back. In the middle is Rodriguez, one of the best defenses in the country, and I can't believe I'm saying it. I really had doubts about not if it could work because you get all this money and talent in one spot, sure, but how is it going to work at this place? It's never been known for it, and it certainly has taken off this year. How has this happened so quickly, so emphatically?
You know what helps, Mike? I mean, one, the talent, yeah, $20 million or whatever it is to spend just on defense alone. That helps, and the talent. Health helps.
Ooh.
The guys that were the quote unquote starters, 11 spots, and they played 11 games so far, right? So that's a total of 121 starts, if you will, right? 11 times 11.
So yeah.
116 of those 121 have been by the guys that were deemed the starters at the beginning of the year. The miss being the Skylar Gill Howard, who you referenced. He injured his ankle. I believe he's out for the rest of the season. He five of those games. Nine of the spots, so that's one spot that's changed. Nine of the spots have been the same exact guy every single game. And then there's one other spot where they have essentially co-starters at one of the cornerback spots, and those two guys split reps. They both have like 350 snaps. They both played in 10 or 11 games. So I'm counting those since they've just taken turns starting. 116 of 121 potential defensive starts, all from their day one starters. Like, as we're sitting over here talking about West Virginia's offense and being like, all right, this is quarterback number five, running back number five, wide receivers are falling off the face of the earth and just everything. So yeah, they got the talent and they got the quote unquote injury luck to go with it. And that, man, you get consistently out there with all your top dudes all year long, you're gonna find success. And really the other part of it is have it on all three levels. We talk about this a lot, I think, where it's like, hey man, if you can just be like not have a weakness at a certain level, like it's one thing if you have a good secondary or good linebackers, but your defensive line is weak or your secondary is weak. Opposing coaches, opposing teams, they get paid millions of dollars to exploit that. So they will.
Mhm.
Texas Tech, they got dudes at all three levels, and they're very solid at all three levels. I mean, you've already mentioned Rodriguez. Um, and on the defensive line, they have several guys, starting with Bailey, who's 71 pressures, according to PFF. You know how you sometimes see those charts and it's like, here's the line and here's everybody at, and all the little dots are in the middle, and there's a couple guys over here, and then there's just this one random one way off to the side. That's Bailey because he has 71 pressures, which leads all of Power Four, all of FBS actually, but focusing on Power Four. The next highest is Ruben Bain from Miami with 56. So it's like everybody's here, and third is 53, and second is 56, and then bam, 71. Way off over here, all by himself, all by his lonesome, just way ahead of everybody else. And he's not alone because number four on that list, Romello Height with 49. So they have two of the top like pressure guys in all of Power Four football right there by themselves.
I remember when Bailey became available after the late coaching change to Stanford, and it was everybody thought a free for all. Who's going to pay the most to get him? And everybody's looking at Texas Tech, the side eye, like, well, here we go again. And the feeling was, well, they really loaded up on the defensive line. Is there need or room for him? I think your lesson here is, Chris, just get defensive linemen. I know that sounds like it's really easy to go out and do it, but And it's very easy to solve the problem when you have the resources that Cody Campbell has given Texas Tech. But it wasn't a problem, I guess, either. But reputationally, it was. And let's add, I don't know, maybe a first round draft pick, certainly an NFL player late in the game, and just make this defensive line that much better. And it's been really good too. There are a number of NCAA statistics, Chris, that are tracked and are packaged officially. Scoring offense, pass defense, net punting, sacks by, red zone defense, so on and so forth. About half are on the defense. Texas Tech is top 10 in 10 of them. Scoring defense, rushing defense, which is number one. I'm trying to go over here. Total defense is number seven. First down defense, so fewest first downs allowed. Opponents' third down conversions, so on and so forth. All top 10, except one. Number 11 is opponent third down conversion. So just outside the top 10 there. So basically, in 11 different ways, they have one of the top 10 defenses in the country here. And it's been that way for a while, too. And I think you can probably look at their schedule early on and go, well, of course, they're piling up the stats here. Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and then legitimately two of the worst FBS teams out there traditionally. Um, Kent State, Group of Five, and Oregon State, Power Four. That's their non-conference. And their first conference game, they run into Utah, and you're thinking, oh boy, this is going to be a heavyweight fight. And they dominate that fourth quarter and run away 34-10. Chris, they've beaten everybody they've played this year, everybody they've beaten this year by 20 or more points.
Hmm.
It's incredible. And they've allowed 16 points in their last two games. So they've been good. And again, just throttled BYU 29-7, dominated UCF 48-9, have a week off. There's really no signs of this tailing off here and peaking. And these things take some time to come together. And I'm wondering now if it's coming together because their last four games have been just dynamite. They lose to Arizona State, fine. Shut out Oklahoma State, beat Kansas State at Kansas State, and then we just mentioned the BYU and UCF games at home. Looks like they're going in the right direction here, but again, their defense is one healthy, so the continuity is there. They have the star player in the middle. It just seems like they are in the right spot at the right time of year. And I don't want to make this West Virginia's funeral, but West Virginia's offense has not been a strength this year. It's going to even go in more shorthanded than normal. This just seems like a really bad matchup for West Virginia on this side of the ball in particular.
Yeah. I went back and looked at what was the difference in the Arizona State game. The only game that Texas Tech has lost all season. It's
Mm,
like, what is this? That's the only game where the opposing team has thrown for 281 or more than 281 yards. I think that was the second highest was 281. And
mm,
Arizona State threw for 319 yards. They could not run the ball at all. I think it was like 36 carries for 75 yards or something. Now that's sack adjusted, so okay, but they won because they threw the ball and they controlled the clock, which seems kind of counter to each other, but
mm,
those were the two key stats. Arizona State got 319 yards passing and they had the ball for 37 minutes plus in that game. It wasn't like Texas Tech turned it over a bunch either. I think they only turned it over once. So what was it? I think it was a lot of short to intermediate throws from Arizona State. Can West Virginia do that? I don't know if they can do it consistently, but maybe. Like they're not going to be tasked with trying to beat them downhill. But here's the big thing. It's the proprietary stat, Mike. You ready for this?
Ooh,
Yeah, this
probably
is
not.
all right. So we get this stat from PFF, under pressure percentage every opponent when they play Texas Tech. That's one thing, but keep in mind, like, is Texas Tech really going to throw the book at Oklahoma State? No. So they're not pressuring them. So they're not blitzing a lot. So, like, if you look at Oklahoma State's numbers against Texas Tech, they were only under pressure 23% of the time, which is the lowest all season. Does that mean Oklahoma State's good? No. It means Texas Tech only blitzed 19% of the time because they didn't care. They knew they could beat the snot out of them. It's like playing an FCS opponent. You're just like, hey, let's just don't show anything. Let's go out there and whoop them. So what I did was I looked at the under pressure percentage and the blitzed percentage and subtracted them. So if you're under pressure a lot, but you're not being blitzed a lot, that's good for Texas Tech, bad for your offense, right? We still with me? So the higher the number, the higher the number there, the better it is for Texas Tech. Every single team they faced was positive. 23, 37 for Houston. Houston was under pressure 75% of the time, 75% of their dropbacks, but Texas Tech only blitzed 37% of the time, and so on. Arizona State, negative 14%. Just to completely, I talked about outliers with Bailey, like being on it. This is the same thing. Every single other game was a positive number, meaning teams were under pressure more than the number of times that Texas Tech blitzed. Against Arizona State was under pressure only 27% of the time, but they were blitzed almost 42% of the time.
Hmm.
Texas Tech, again, that was their highest blitz percentage. And again, this is a close game. That's why. Like, it's a close game. They're breaking out more. They're getting a little more desperate. They're trying to get pressure on the quarterback, and it's not getting there. Why? Arizona State's offensive line was solid, and they got rid of the ball quickly. Like quick, short throws. Boom, boom, boom. Get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. That was a big key. Their time to throw in that game was the shortest of any game that they had played that year. And it's not because they were under pressure, it's because it was schemed that way. So can West Virginia scheme short, quick, fast throws to try to negate all of these pressures from Texas Tech? Because I don't want to beat a dead horse. I don't have faith that the offensive line is going to hold off Texas Tech's $40 million pass rush.
Can I ask you a question? I don't mean this is just kind of like your observations and not a bias or a concrete statement here. Do you think that West Virginia's coaching staff will game plan for an opponent in the manner you just did? Because that's not necessarily their style.
It
It
is
may be
not.
the best path to victory. It does seem like they try to run their stuff or bend their stuff around what they might be able to get into the game. And I haven't really seen it's very hard because they're handcuffs. I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But boxing left-handed, so to speak. I haven't really seen that from them. I don't know, like what you're saying makes sense, but are you gonna like catch and rip with Scotty Fox all game, or are you gonna
No.
kind of run your stuff and hope it works? Like, because they might have to catch and rip with Fox, just to, like you said, quick out, get away from the pressure, and make them tackle. Because there's some numbers we can talk about their tackling too. Um, is that in the cards?
I don't think it is. I mean, that's, yeah, right. I think this is something we've talked about. Is like, is Rich Rodriguez the type of guy that's going to change his offense? No. Like, I just don't
Yeah.
think it's going to change it that much.
And I don't mean like when you pick your teams in NCAA 26, you pick West Virginia and you go and you put in the, I don't know, like the Oregon playbook. I'm not saying that, but can you
Yeah.
just a little bit different? Can you run the West Virginia offense, but do the quick pass plays instead of these zone reads? I don't know. We'll see. Um, let's let's talk on Rodriguez for a second here because we haven't done that enough yet. He's not bulletproof here, and teams have tried, I think, or he's been involved. But among linebackers in the country, Chris, most targeted, most receptions allowed. Number two, most yards per catch. Number seven, yards after catch. Number four, most missed tackles in coverage.
Yeah, you're talking about Jacob Rodriguez. For our listeners who might have thought that you meant Rich Rodriguez was not bulletproof, but you,
Oh
you meant
yeah,
Jacob Rodriguez was not
yes,
was not
yes.
bulletproof. Because yeah, you're right.
Jake Rod, sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
But what
there's
43 of 52, right? Wasn't that the numbers? Like when he's in
a
coverage,
lot of passes, a lot of passes. Now, granted,
83% completion. That's
sure,
crazy.
and they're leading a lot. They're going to drop back in zone, and he's gonna take the stat, and it's not on him sometimes. But more of like what happens after the catch is what got my attention. Misses tackles, you can get after him. The trouble is, Chris, the guy who can really do some damage in that regard is probably Dior Hubbard, who sounds like he had a pretty serious knee injury and will be gone for quite some time. Definitely out for the year now, according to Rodriguez, but just one more game. He's not playing Saturday, but that's a long-term injury, I think. And again, when you run the ball, he's terrific. Seventh in the country in stops, number one in run stop percentage, number one in forced fumbles, and sixth, only six missed tackles. So a lot more runs than passes, and he's really good in the run defense. Can you stay away from him? I don't know. We'll see, but you have to respect him. I don't know if you can be afraid of him. Again, you can't hide from the middle of the football field, the middle linebacker. It's going to be difficult, but I don't know. I wonder about challenging him a little bit there too. And then again, we mentioned their defensive line. He's their best linebacker. Their corners and safeties have been good enough, all acquired from different levels of college football too. Mississippi State, UTEP. One guy was at Charlotte, I think, but he was maybe at UNC the year before. just scouted and did well. And again, I know they get a lot of flack or a lot of credit for spending money. People forget like McGuire was one of the first people who really did get the general manager front office style. Like his guy who's in charge of their personnel was one of his initial hires back in 22 when he got hired.
Okay.
Yeah, 22. And they've kind of built this, and it just so happened that, yeah, they have a billionaire who can fund them, but they had the infrastructure, and they do have an eye for scouting. There's some players there that can play that were not high level major acquisitions. And again, Texas Tech started playing this game this year coming out of nowhere. You're not going in and saying I'm Alabama, I'm Georgia, come play for us. You're saying I'm Texas Tech. We haven't done anything on defense, but come play corner for us. Not because we're going to give you a lot of money, there's something there. They can scout some guys and they've seen it. So I want to give the devil its due there. I know people want to give them a lot of crap about their resources, their finances, but they have scouted some good players. I'm sure paid them well, but there are some fines there for sure, especially their corner who's a Charlotte too. So that helps out. Other areas of the defense here.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I was gonna give a shout out to, you mentioned him a couple of times, the Mississippi State guy, Bryce Pollock,
Mhm.
48.1% completion percentage, 4 interceptions, 0 touchdowns allowed. Like I said, they've done a nice job with that whole secondary, piecing it together with guys from all over the place and at all levels. So
On the West Virginia offense here, I mean, I don't know what you make of the two deep, but there's no changes to the two deep for the offensive line. They have Hubbard as an or at line right, even though he's not going to play. I
yeah,
don't know what we'll see out of the offensive line, but there's something to be said about putting like Agbo and Isosa in there in this game and like leaving some skid marks on them that like just kind of linger for a while until spring football. I don't know if that's the best idea. Maybe that's why you want to get these guys in the game sooner. But do you foresee major changes here in offense? I can't. I mean, they're going to have to do something with running back. I don't know what the status is of. By the time that we people hear this, Chris, we'll know more about Tyler Jacklich and Clay Ash, who've missed some time, have not been ruled out by Rodriguez, but I'm not sure that those are tip of the coach's tongue names. We'll know more by the time that people hear this, but injuries on the running back front, we don't know. And think that their offensive line's been healthy for a while. So it's probably going to be Cray, Haslam, Livingston, McConioli, and Crawford at the end.
yeah. I mean, I have no reason to think otherwise. They've given me zero reason to believe that that's going to change. So yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. And Rodriguez said with the running backs during his radio show on Monday night, he singled out Bowers and Curtis Jones to get more reps. So I guess that's what it's going to be.
It is wild to me that Curtis Jones is the number two running back for a Power Four team when he was like the number one, number two bandit for a Power Four team 5 weeks ago. Like they just started messing with this during the first open week, and he didn't
Yeah.
even play. I think he played one snap against UCF. Just where like Jacklett's being hurt, Ash being hurt, I get that, but they brought in Cannon Katzer, who was a pretty good player, Division II national champion, Trinidad Chambliss, Andre Devine, late edition. He didn't play at Jacksonville State, but he's been in college, and those guys just haven't given him much. I understand Jacklett just missed the last 2 games, but there's plenty of time before that for him to go. If he's unable to go, I understand that. Like I said, we'll know more soon. Let's flip to Texas Tech's offense against West Virginia's defense. And ordinarily, Chris, we'd probably start here because Texas Tech's offense has been so good for so long.
Hmm.
West Virginia's defense, it's on the field in those games. This one here is this is where I was not sure where Texas Tech would go. I had questions about their quarterback and the health and especially the depth. They lost their probably their most talented running back in the preseason. Their receivers have been very good. And again, I think people think about their expenses and say, well, they just bought talent. They have one new offensive lineman, but they entered the season with one of the most experienced offensive lines in the country. Brought back all 5 starters, I believe. Replaced one of them. And they've just been really good. But they have two very good running backs who complement each other. Their top 5 receivers are 3 receivers, a tight end, and a running back. The quarterbacks have been good enough, even when Morton hasn't been healthy. Has more than done the job. I don't want to say it's complimentary football because they score a ton of points. They're the only team in the country, top 5 scoring offense, top 5 scoring defense, but I guess that's complimentary. Air raid coach they brought in to kind of restore that a little bit. Makes sense at Texas Tech. It's in the DNA there. Just nothing has really gone wrong here. Even the quarterback has been injured. Now actually their backups out for the year too. They've done well to get through the games and to get healthy and use the defense to win.
Yeah, I'll start with the offensive line, Mike. 5 spots, 11 games. That's a total of 55 starts. Would you like to guess how many starts all five offensive linemen have been there for?
55?
55 for 55. That
Magic.
helps. You
Hmm.
have a bunch of returning starters, a bunch of elite talent to begin with, and they're all healthy and they play all year long together in the same spots. That helps in a big, big way. And they've been pretty solid across the front there. Like you mentioned, I think that was one of the very first, hey, heads up kind of stats I put together early in the season of the teams that were at that point in the top 25. There was like one that had two transfers that were starting, or more than two transfers, maybe more than two transfers that were starting, and many of them had zero or one. And again, it speaks to continuity and sort of homegrown offensive linemen. Because I think one of the very first things somebody did when I put that stat out was push back and be like, oh, they just talked about Texas Tech had four transfer linemen. Sort of. It's that those guys transferred in and then sat a year as a backup.
Hmm.
So they were in their second year in the program. Are they homegrown? Not really, but they were cooked there in Lubbock. They came to fruition in Lubbock. They didn't start somewhere else and then just come right in and get thrown into the fire to start. They built up their experience there with that program, with that offense. So that is important. Like we've seen it over and over again. I think those stats will bear it out. I can probably go back and check the top 25 now that we're later in the season to see if that still holds true. But Texas Tech is up there for sure with the experience on the offensive line. They've all been very good.
Number four in pass blocking efficiency, according to Pro Football Focus. And I bring that up because Baron Morton, just rarely under pressure. 23.7% of the dropbacks. That is, I don't have the number. I'll look it up. I want to say it's like top 15 in the country. When he's under pressure, Chris, much more mortal. 61 dropbacks under pressure, 44 pass attempts, which leaves in my head 17 um, plays that he has to account for himself. Sure, 12 sacks, three scrambles, two throwaways. So he gets rid of the ball when he has to, or he takes a sack. Most of the time, he's taking a sack if he's not going to throw the ball. Um, 24, 44, one touchdown, two picks. And again, those are if you can get him to that. It's just really hard to get him to that. Again, they've dictated a lot of the tempo. They can run the ball. They can get the ball out quick to their running backs. I don't know. They've figured out Morton through all this time they've had him. He's been really efficient here, high touchdowns, low interceptions, not putting the ball in danger, and that offensive line really helps. So the combination of a veteran who knows what he's doing, they know how to work with him, they know his strengths and weaknesses, they have different level of passing game to get into. Like they have a definite slot guy in Coy Eakin. Their two running backs don't go very far down the field. Their tight end's a safety valve. They can go deep. It's just a well put together passing game. Scares you or terrifies you. It's good. They're much better, I think, more dangerous running the ball, or at least getting the running game going to do stuff. But the quarterback has kind of been their leader this year, which was a big question for me. Was his arm going to be healthy? Could he stay in the games? This is a guy who's missed 4 games the past couple of years. Definitely missed one this year and came out of another. Um, Problem solved, I guess. It looks like that's like a definite strength of their team and not a question mark right now. In fact, won 11 straight starts in Morton under center.
What's your relationship with Morton? Because I feel like me personally, I have gone back and forth on what I thought of him. Like I remember, I think one of the very first starts he ever had, I was like, "Yeah, this guy's a dude. This guy is going to be an all-timer." And then he kind of just faded from my mind, would go in and out. And last year, I just didn't think, I mean, I was like, yeah, he's fine. Then he ended up with 3,300 yards, 27 TDs, only 8 picks. This year, obviously missed a few games, so that the counting stats aren't quite there, but the efficiency is even better. His passer rating's higher, his average yards per completion's higher, or yards per attempt is higher. His completion percentage is higher. His TD to interception ratio is better. Where, like, where are we supposed to think of him as like? I mean, is he all Big 12 quarterback here? Like, I don't,
Have you looked at the quarterbacks in the Big 12?
yeah.
He's got a case for sure. Well, one, again, I just sometimes look at their offense. I'm like, well, it's a system offense, and they're playing from behind so much, and their defense is so bad. The quarterback has to have these stats, and he's going to be put in these positions. I'm not sure he's been as good as Noah Fafita, but he's been pretty good this year. I think maybe Fafita. I don't know. I don't know if you can give Robertson and Hoover first team.
No.
Probably not Hoover. Robertson, I wouldn't either. So probably Fafita, maybe Morton, maybe. That's a good question here. Chris, I'm impressed by him because this dude skewers West Virginia. I don't know what it is, but he just torches them. So 8 of 13 matchups between West Virginia and Texas Tech. A Texas Tech quarterback is thrown for 300 yards. Morton twice, 28 of 45, 325 in 2022. 28 of 41, 359, 2 touchdowns last year. He left the game early. I expect big numbers in this one just because that's what I've always seen him do. And again, I just think that this is a guy who's probably grown up and has been raised or developed by coaches. At least the head coach has gotten to know him. Just he gets to his spots. If you look at his spray chart, I guess what you want to call it, it's concentrated in certain areas. A lot of stuff behind the line of scrimmage or screen passes, quick stuff. So get him comfortable behind that line of scrimmage. I don't want to say system quarterback because that's a negative sometimes. I think he's probably really good at showing them the way. And his game right now has gotten to a level which is perfectly acceptable. I think if you ask a lot of quarterbacks to do a lot more and throw it 45, 50 times, you're just inviting errors. You're inviting miscues, miscalculations, mistakes, and they haven't really had to do that because they run the ball really well. And again, he's just not under duress. Like fewer than a quarter of his dropbacks are under pressure. Man, you would take that every time because now you can look around. And if you do have to go to your second read or third read or come back to something else, you're going to have time to do it. And something that you know is going to be there is there. I definitely had questions about it. I remember like he didn't do spring football last year because they weren't sure his arm was going to stay attached,
Yeah.
basically. I might be embellishing there, but it felt like he had serious shoulder issues. And they didn't go out in the portal and get anybody. Like their backups are their backups. You know, like they got a guy from Wake Forest who didn't even play last year, like wasn't even playing football, and he's their backup now because their original backups out for the year. He's just good at what they want him to do. He fits into the plan they have there. He's an air raid quarterback, but he's not going to have to throw it like a Mahomes number of times. Never mind, do the Mahomes number of passes there. The comp that I've heard or seen from him there, and again, physically I don't know, but like is Davis Webb, which is probably 12, 15 years ago now, maybe not even that long, maybe 10, 12 years ago. And he was a perfectly good quarterback for what they did. Now, he just didn't have the defense that Morton has. So I think Morton's numbers go up because if you're at the 12th game of the regular season, Chris, and you're Texas Tech's quarterback and you have 17 touchdowns, you probably don't feel too good about that, right? And here we are talking about a guy who gives you 9 yards per attempt, stays away from interceptions, completing 2/3 of his passes, and doesn't get sacked and doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Exactly what you want, but on 26 attempts per game. They've controlled him, and he's controlled what he's had to do.
Would you like to take a stab at where he's going to end up on the all-time Texas Tech passing yards and touchdowns? Same numbers here.
Top 10? Is he really? Wow, because that's a
I,
lot of
I
numbers
sorry for the
there.
listeners. I'm pointing higher.
Okay.
Keep going.
Is he
Keep
top
going.
five?
He currently is top five and could be higher with what 100. Quick math on this with 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. He will pass Seth Dagey for passing yards and passing touchdowns to move into fourth on both lists. Fourth
Oh, man.
behind, I mean, again, the guys that'll be in front of him are Graham Harrell, Cliff Kingsbury, and Patrick Mahomes. And then you'll have Baron Morton.
Wow.
Like,
There's a lot of names on that
that's
list,
what I was
man.
blowing my mind. I'm like, because in my mind, I was like, I remember it. I think it was probably the 2022 game where I think the game before he played West Virginia was his first start, and he was awesome in that one, like 350, 400 yards.
Hmm.
Then played West Virginia and did, what'd you say, 320 yards and
Hmm.
blew West Virginia out of the water. And then he just kind of faded from my mind because I think the next year when he played West Virginia, he stunk. That was 2023, and I think he got hurt like early in the game, left, and West Virginia won like 17-13. Like it was just an ugly, terrible game. Um, and then the following year, yeah, again last year, just sealed Neil Brown's fate at the end there. So
Hmm.
I've kind of gone back and forth on what he is and isn't for that program.
All right, you're right on this. I'm looking at the Texas Tech game notes, and I wrote these things down, and it says that in the 2022 game, which he did not play in, that where was it?
Yeah, he did.
Is
2022.
he?
He played.
I don't
28
even
of
have.
28 of 45 for 325.
All right, so I'm using one of my favorite sites, CFB Stats, and they have him playing 21, 23, 24, and 25, not 22, which I was sure he played 22, but I'm looking at this now as we're talking, and he's not in there at all. Like the 22 year does not exist for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I got it on. I pulled it up on the ESPN, and yeah,
Oh, here it is. Yeah,
he's
right now. Okay, you're right. Yeah. So I'm right too for the notes, but oh man, I shouldn't mention that website. I love that website. I don't want to give him a bad name.
But yeah, because he
Anyways,
played. Yeah, that was what I remembered though. Was he threw for 379 yards against number 7 Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State the week before that.
yeah.
Then came to Morgantown and threw for 325, and then kind of just faded away. I think he stunk the following week, 3 interceptions against Baylor, and then was just I don't know if he got hurt. Can't remember. Like I mean, I obviously not Texas Tech beat writer, so I can't remember if he got hurt or he just kind of faded out or what, and then was
He
back the
he
following year.
he wasn't the starter in 23, right? Was it Shook?
No, 22, he was not the starter. Yeah, he didn't begin the year as the starter. He took over, what is that, week 5, week 6 against Oklahoma State, and then
Uh-huh.
started for 3 weeks and then was back out.
Yeah, I don't even think he was the starter at the beginning of the 23 season. I think he did he
Mm-mm.
come in that game where Green got hurt too, or did he play? Yeah, Shook was their starter early in 23. He got hurt against Tarleton. Actually, he got hurt in the West Virginia game. He was 2 for 6 and he came out, and that was it for him. He went to Louisville after the end of the season. So, um, okay, and
Oh,
that's the
Shook, yeah. So,
Barry Morton part of the program. Exciting
yeah,
for everybody involved here
you're
too.
welcome. Glad everybody tuned in for that.
Yeah, more Rodriguez. I'm gonna go back to Jacob Rodriguez here for a second. How about their running game? Because again, had questions here. Lost a high value transfer, but man, Dickey and Williams a great 1-2 punch. Probably, maybe the best
Mhm.
receiving running back in the country. Ja'Cory Williams, number
Could
one
be.
PFF grade excuse me, number two PFF grade. Just a dangerous receiver. And I think one thing that helps Morton here too is that number 5 and 6 on the team in receptions are his two running backs.
Yeah.
Chris, their average depth of target, negative point 0.4 and positive point 0.1. So
Yeah.
these are not like going down the field and running wheel routes or angle routes, whatever. It's I'm catching it because I'm going out in the flat to help you out. And Morton has no problem checking down there. But they've gotten a great 1-2 punch out of their running backs here. 1-2 in that they're both pretty good runners and that they've given a lot as receivers too.
Yeah, and they're hard to tackle.
Yep.
Like very hard to tackle just in running plays alone. Um, Cameron Dickey has the most 15 plus yard plays. He is averaging 3.54 yards after contact. Jacoby Williams is better at 3.79. And Adam Hill is like a third string running back. I don't even know if we'll really see him. Is tops in the entire Big 12 in yards after contact at 4.83. Um, so I don't even know if you'll see him, but Texas Tech's running backs, again, you noted, like they lost their top guy and still somehow have 3 of the top 10 in yards after contact in the Big 12 conference.
Good
So
offensive line, that'll help.
yeah, and the offensive line will help too. So
So
uh,
Williams, 32 catches, 362 yards, 2 touchdowns, the negative A dot, 15.7 yards after the catch. He leads the country in running backs for missed tackles forced after the catch. So again, not just running backs that do this. Running the ball, he's really good in the open field, and they find way again. If you throw it in the flat and you get him swinging the ball, he's going to be dangerous there too. And again, just really good. He's got about 600 yards. The other one has about 900 yards. They figured it out. Dickey's been he's going to push 1,000 yards. I think he's like 45 yards away. But 5'10", 215. Williams 5'10", 185. So one's about 30 pounds heavier. The guy who runs the ball more and runs it better. But they just found a great complementary piece of Williams to help him out. Chris, like a lot of teams, they go outside, and that's where they make most of their money running the ball here. Not surprising that their tackles are two of the better PFF run blocking grades in the country, both top 35-ish, and their tight end is top 20. So if they're running around the corners, outside zone stuff, typically their tackle and their tight end are going to work a lot together there too. Not a surprise. That's where you see Dickey and Williams get a lot of their yardage, and more importantly, just a lot of space on the outside. A lot of missed tackles for us on the edge too.
yeah, nah, as I said, they got a pretty consistent run game, like you noted. Most of their yards, what I think it was for Dickey, it was like 500 some of his yards are all just outside of the edge, not just outside of the tackles, but all the way outside. Um, to be rushing out there. Terrence Carter Jr., a guy that they bring in, and it's difficult to tell what you're going to do with it. That's the tight end that you were referencing, that he gets out there and blocks, and he's a guy that blocks and can catch passes. We can talk about that in a second, but it's sometimes you can look at the snap counts and what they do when they get in there, and you'll have guys that are, especially at tight ends, you'll have certain tight ends that come in and 75% of the time the play call is a run. 75% of the time for another guy, the play call is a pass. He comes in and it is 50-50. So you don't even get to kind of scheme or lean one way or the other. And when he gets out there and blocks, yeah, 71.8 run blocking grade for him. So he's going to do
Yeah.
some damage. And Mike, it's another tight end that catches the football.
He'll go deep.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he'll go deep. It's not like a weird thing to see him just rolling around in the deep secondary too. And a transfer from I think it's Louisiana. So not a big name from a major program, not some SEC country tight end. They found him and brought him in, and he's been really good for them too. Um, Edge numbers, Chris Dickey and Williams, 68 runs around the edge, 487 yards, 29 first downs, 16 runs of 10 plus more yards. Again, 22 missed tackles forced there. So that's what they do. They're really good when they get outside and they try to make stuff happen. And Dickey in particular is actually those might be just Dickey numbers, huh?
Hmm.
Those Dickey numbers, yeah. So outside the end of the tackle on the tight end, 68, 487, pretty healthy average there too. So that's their guy that they want to get out in the space and have him do some stuff, and he's definitely good there too. Again, only team in the country, Chris, with 5 players with 350 or more yards receiving, and they have roles. You're going to see Caleb Douglas on the right, Reggie Burt on the left. Coy Eakins, their slot guy. They might play 2 running backs at a time, but they're going to be in the flats catching passes. The tight end, as we just mentioned, active. He will go deep every so often. Carter there. So they've just kind of figured out what to do. What I would note is we've talked about quick passes a bunch. Douglas, 14 deep target right. Virgil, 15 deep targets on the left. I think 10 out of 29 combined. So not highly efficient, but they'll take their shots there. But so many of their passes are kind of controlled passing game to get you positive plays, which is what they live on. A lot of offenses do, but they have weapons there. They know what they're doing. And again, like not a ton of guys that they use, but they use them all.
Yeah. As I say, keeping everybody happy. 33, 41, 45, 48 receptions for those top four guys. That's three receivers and the tight end, and then touchdowns 5, 6, 4, or 5. So even when you get down into the red zone, it, who knows where you're going? Could be
Hmm.
all sorts of different places. So, uh, Mike,
Yes.
defense. Can West Virginia's linebackers handle what's about to happen there? Because you talked about the running back being one of the best receiving running backs in the country. We talked about the tight end being a problem. Coy Eakin, who you said was a slot receiver, he catches 76% of his targets.
Hmm.
Um, this seems like a mismatch because as decent, I think is a good word. The linebackers have been for West Virginia. Defending the pass has not been their strong suit. Do you think they can stay in coverage with these guys? I mean, that's three different guys. Like, that's not even like, hey, you got to worry about one. You are worrying about three different players all at the same time. And I assume
Yep.
like Perry will be on one and then two linebackers on the other two or something. It's tough.
Yeah. I don't know how much like 2021 personnel they do. Just not something I've seen a whole lot from them. I haven't like paid a ton of attention to Texas Tech this year, but in that regard. But that's a real weird dynamic because they could really scramble your eggs there. They put both those receivers, both those running backs out in the receiver routes. At the very least, though, the way that they use the running back and the tight end, it's just a nice air raid system every so often, which you've seen that before. You have a running back go one way, you have the mesh coming across the middle, the tight end slips the seam. Like they're just good at stuff like that, which is why they have such a balance in their distribution. They want to be about 50-50 in run pass, but they also want to be really even in how many catches guys have too, which is why those numbers have borne out the way that you mentioned there too. They're going to put guys in conflict. They absolutely are. That's what they do. They like to create matchups, and that's what an air raid does. It creates spots, and you go to grass and you catch it. And they've been good at that there too. They're going to have to run a lot. And if you try to game their offense by bringing an extra defensive back, they're going to get big and run at you too. So um, that's not like a unique thing, I think, but it's because of West Virginia's speed deficiency, a linebacker, let's say. I think they can be good against the run. Like even Ben Bogle comes up and throws his entire body into the gap sometimes to stop a run. That's great. It's really different to be trailing receivers and running with them, and playing catch up a bunch. That would be something that really concerns me too. My counter though, Chris, would be: can you be physical? You're gonna have to be physical, but can you be physical with the pass catchers here? They drop a lot of passes. Their top five receivers that we just mentioned, so the three receivers, the tight end, the running back, 22 drops, and the top three receivers and a tight end have 21 of them. So let's just stick with, as you mentioned, Douglas, Virgil, Eakin, and Carter, the tight end. 25 of 52 on contested catches, Chris. Not even 50%.
Hmm.
So the targets, when they get there, sometimes that's fine. But like if for example, Eakin is catching 70, what do you say, 77% of his passes?
76, yeah.
He's 5 for 9 on contested targets, which is good, but that makes me think he's open a bunch because he's getting into space. If you can close those gaps in the middle on the outside and you can be tough with him, just the numbers say they haven't been great making contested catches this year. That said, West Virginia in man to man has had some troubles lately too, and I don't know what the proposition is there for them to stick with that plan in this game because that hasn't been what they're good at, but it might be what they have to be good at. And similar to what we said on offense, do you really change your stripes based on the opponent, or do you try to wrap what you do around what is going to work that day? Zach Galley, I have no idea. Like he could be the mad scientist and gotten something totally different here. I just think they've got to be near those receivers to make plays in the ball because when they've been good back half of the season, that's what they've been doing.
You're telling me that having a defender near you only 9 times in 11 games is a good thing? That's pretty good.
The numbers support that theory, Chris.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. All
Yeah.
right, just checking.
Anything else on the matchup on this side?
Nah, I'm ready to talk about what we're gonna talk about.
No, 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 no. We have one more pit stop, Chris.
Oh no.
Texas Tech has blocked 5 punts this year,
Oh God. You gotta bring me back special teams.
and they
That-
don't miss field goals. They're number one in the country in field goals. Let me go double check this. I'm pretty sure they've made the most field goals in the country here.
Is that a stat you want to be number one in though?
They just find different ways to score, Chris. It doesn't matter. Um, made, yeah, 24 out of 27. Hawaii, wow, good for Hawaii. 23 for 23. Boston College, 14 for 14.
And what you know what Boston College's record is? One
Not
and ten.
good.
1 and 10.
Yeah. Well, they needed a couple more, I guess. If they were 27 for 27, it'd be a different story, I'm sure. So listen, they go after punts. They block 5 punts. They haven't blocked a PAT or a field goal. So they're number one in the country in blocked kicks. They're all punt. Um, Oliver Straw, antenna up, I think here. West Virginia gotten its hands on PA, no, a field goal. Yeah, almost got a PAT, field goal and a punt the last couple of games. So don't go to the concession stand on fourth down here. It might be entertaining. Now
Okay.
let's fast forward here. Thank goodness noon game wrapped this regular season up, sent us off into the postseason. We're talking 4:30, Chris. What are we talking about?
I think we're discussing whether or not West Virginia is a team that actually can compete and be competitive moving forward. And I think this game is going to be telling. You and I talked about it before we got on the pod. This game opened at 19 and a half in favor of Texas Tech and it has already, depending on where you're looking, up to 24 and a half. So despite the fact they tried to make it enticing to bet West Virginia when that line was at like 21 and a half, people are still pounding the Texas Tech side of the line. It could continue to climb. I don't think, obviously, West Virginia wants that. I wonder if they kind of surprise people here. Because I think, again, if you get blown out by more than that, then it is this moment of self-reflection, I think. It's like, holy cow, they are here and we are here. This is bad. And that is how you go into the offseason of just, oh my goodness, that the difference here is an enormous. It's a canyon. But if you keep it close, Mike, have you ever heard the saying, good teams win, great teams cover?
Couple of times, yeah.
If West Virginia just keeps it close, if they go lose by fewer than 24 and a half points, West Virginia will have finished the season 8-4 against the spread. 8-4 against the spread. I
Part
don't
of
know
Dallas.
what I don't know what that says, especially since they got upset by Ohio and lost what three straight games by 30 some points.
Mhm.
but they would finish the season 8-4 against the spread, meaning that one, people at Vegas and bettors are non-believers, and two, that they were more competitive than people thought. If you can take that mentality into the offseason of, hey, look, people thought we were garbage and we were competitive. That, I mean, I know it sounds like not that big of a deal, but it is a boost of confidence. You can pitch that. You can pitch to whether it's to the recruits, to the players, or to donors. Hello, donors. Hey, look, this is year one. Everybody thought we were going to lose all these games and lose by this, and we did this. You can pitch that. So I think one way or another, they either keep it close, and we're talking about how West Virginia went 8-4 against the spread, or they get completely blown out. And we talk about how huge of a talent gap there is between Texas Tech and West Virginia right now. One way or another, we're talking about that.
All right, I'm inclined to agree with you here, and I'm gonna not gonna parrot or mimic, but I'm gonna fall in line with you here too. I just think this is kind of a welfare check for the program. I don't really know that your off week experience, your off week experiments, whatever you want to call it, shows up on the field unless guys just found out they were going to have to transfer and they just don't come to the game. I don't know who shows up to work or not. You'd hope it's probably everybody, but it's 2025, maybe not. But Texas Tech has a style. Every game they've won this year, they've won by 20 plus points. They're number one in the country in margin of victory. They get up early and they go. Chris, they have 3 point. They have 3 quarters with 104 points or more. They dominate you in the first quarter. I think it's 143 to 13 in the first quarter. They don't mess around. They have 104 points off turnovers. If you give them chances, they're gonna like. There's just a bunch of things that could go wrong. They've gone wrong to everybody except one team that has played in this year. It would not be necessarily unique for West Virginia to get boat raced in this game. If West Virginia contributes to its demise, that's bad. I think that could be something that is just isn't good. And I think what I want to get to here is, Chris, is that in the past, West Virginia was very good against Texas Tech. And one of those teams, then that middle, you had to leapfrog. And they did. They won 5 in a row in the series and beat some good players and good teams in that time. Quarterback for the Chief couldn't beat Skylar Howard because West Virginia had a really good defense that went after him. It had a good enough offense that could win games. So on and so forth. West Virginia was able to be at a certain level in the Big 12 because it got past teams like Texas Tech. Texas Tech's won 4 out of 5 in the series, I believe. 5 out of 6 in the series, and has beaten them robustly a couple of times, including last year when West Virginia went to Texas Tech but did not show up in Lubbock. If that happens this year, it's a really bad sign because that just means that Texas Tech has this thing, and that's one more team that West Virginia doesn't have to go over, but isn't near because West Virginia has what it has and Texas Tech has what it has, and they're going in maybe the same direction, but at much different speeds. And it's just going to be hard to catch up. But as you're saying, if there's intangibles here, if there's something that closes the gap that makes West Virginia better for a day than other people have been against Texas Tech, you can build on that. You can go. You're trying to get whatever you can from momentum, whether that's fundraising, recruiting, ticket sales, whatever. But if it's a bad day for the program, for the product in the field, it's a bad day for more than just the people on the field, too. You'd like to be closer than further away. If you could cover, sure. But man, if you're the first team that loses them by less than 20, I don't know if you get a flag for that, but you probably did something right and you made it close. And like you get back your home field advantage here, which you thought might have been coming against Pitt, but not against Utah, not against TCU, not against the teams that have come in here and have won pretty handily lately, even though it's been better. I understand. Um, so like, yeah, welfare check. Where do we see things heading into the offseason as far as momentum, as far as the gap, as far as the teams that they have to climb over to get to Texas Tech, which used to be a team that you had to climb over to get toward the top. Well, now Texas Tech is one of those top teams and probably isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So we'll see the welfare of things as the regular season transitions into the offseason. Could be great. A win does a lot. Could be bad because something really uncompetitive, discouraging would set things back a little bit, I think, as you try to make things easy in the offseason if you can, which would help itself a lot with a good showing on Saturday with so many recruits, what, north of 2 dozen in
Hmm.
attendance. We'll see.
Like a win would do a lot. It would including kick me back into the APR rankings, and writing a story on 5 and 7 teams for the bowl game. So
Maybe somebody will get COVID.
I, I you
We'll
want me to
get
go ahead and book you a train ride down to Birmingham or
no
for the Birmingham Bowl?
like on a Tuesday at 10:30 in the morning or something
Yeah,
like that.
pitch
Pass
you
one
in,
out.
get you there.
Go to the UAB football coaching press conference too when they announced the new hire.
There you go. Two for
See what
one.
happens there. All right. That'll wrap it up this time. Plenty coming up on the website as normal, even if you're going to be just dropping in during the holiday. Hope the holiday is good for you and you're getting plenty of desserts and your favorite dishes, Chris Anderson. I've heard that Brussels sprouts are making a comeback.
Making a comeback.
We'll see if
Don't
West
don't
Virginia
try
is.
out the mac and cheese.
Now,
Don't try
smoke the
that.
cheese too is where you got to go. We'll see if West Virginia is making a comeback or getting smoked on Saturday. Until next time, I'm Mike Casaza.
And I'm Chris Anderson.
We'll talk to you then.